The end of the US dollar is happening much faster than anyone thought possible. Now more than ever, there are a lot of questions about the stability and the future of the US dollar. Will the US dollar crash? How many countries are abandoning the US dollar in favor of the BRICS currency? You have Russia, China, you have South Africa, you have all of these countries saying enough with the US dollar. So we're going to unpack this today on today's show. Let's get into some of the nitty-gritty details here about the dollar, which has held its power in global trade for decades, of course, since World War II. It's been the principal reserve currency of the world. So what exactly does that mean? Well, a reserve currency is held and used by institutions and central banks around the world for international transactions. Major commodities like gold, lumber, oil, all priced in dollars. We'll settle our oil transactions in petrodollars, right? We're going to use US dollars to settle those transactions. Global trade runs on the US dollar. It has long been an important cornerstone in the global economy due to its ease of conversion and its value. And of course, the United States would back the US dollar with the power of the US military. That was the agreement made during the Bretton Woods Conference, right? We will police the waterways with our US Navy to secure the trade routes, but you will use US dollars. But over the past several decades, the inherent value of the dollar has been in massive decline. In 1971, the US dollar's departure from the gold standard led to a major devaluation of our currency. And this was just the first time the dollar has declined.
These periods of falling and regaining value are known as super cycles. Each dip is essentially correcting an overvalued dollar. Many economists today think that America's currency is due for another correction, just like previous super cycles.
And more countries are starting to seek autonomy and diversification away from the US dollar. Look at all throughout Africa right now. Not to mention, in recent history, China has become an economic powerhouse. Sanctions enforced after the invasion of Ukraine have encouraged more and more countries to turn towards other currencies. Seeing what the United States has done to sanction Russia, Putin announced an intent to create an international currency standard. And even France has been leaning less and less on the US dollar. These are just a few examples, many more to speak of, all throughout Latin America and Africa and the rest of the Middle East. So when asked about these global issues and their impact on the dollar as a world currency, here's what Janet Yellen, U.S. Treasury Secretary, had to say about it. She said, quote, "We should expect over time a gradually increased share of other assets in reserve holdings of countries." And the Federal Reserve itself lists some challenges the dollar is facing. Let's read right from the source, right from the Fed website. Sanctions imposed by the United States and its allies on Russia following the invasion of Ukraine may make the dollar less attractive as a reserve currency. Yes, that's right. The euro could become more attractive as a reserve currency in the future. And they also point out another source of challenges to the US dollar's dominance could be the continued rapid growth of China, which is by far the world's largest exporter, though it lags behind the United States. By value of imports, Chinese GDP already exceeds US GDP on purchasing power parity basis and may exceed US GDP in nominal terms in the 2030s. In other words, the United States dollar is on the decline. Despite these glaring issues, American politicians like to affirm that the dollar's position as a global currency is strong, but clearly there's been a slow burn happening behind the scenes for decades. Bit by bit, other countries are trying to establish independence and chip away at the dollar's role as the most prevalent reserve currency. Now, some may argue that the biggest threat to the future of the US dollar is the US government itself. National debt continues to climb at astronomical rates. I'm one of those people that believes that's the case, right? When you have unbelievable national debt on top of 9 wars that you're carrying out throughout the world, and you're funneling billions more to Ukraine and Israel, that is not sustainable. We are our own worst enemies, right? So you mix high debt, high inflation, it could very quickly result in a crisis for the US dollar. Now, regardless of what ultimately happens with the dollar, now is the time to think about how to protect yourself. We're in an environment right now with high inflation, tons of economic volatility. Americans are losing their jobs left and right, while debt on both a personal and national level is out of control. But luckily, I have tons of free resources right here for you on this channel on how to protect yourself, how to build multiple streams of income, how to preserve your wealth, and I have a freedom cheat sheet. It's totally free. I think it could change your life if you just look at it. It's like 3 pages. It's a PDF. It's easy to download. Again, it's totally free. Just go to our website, morrisinvest.com/freedom, and go through, and you'll really start to understand your personal family's finances and how you can start to build financial freedom outside of this corrupt government system right now. So check it out, and we'll see you in the next video, everyone.